You've done it before, maybe more times than you'd admit. You're at a gathering, the music is fine, the people are fine, everything is technically fine. But somewhere around the 2-hour mark, something shifts. Your chest tightens just slightly, your laugh starts running on fumes. And instead of making the rounds, hugging everyone, explaining why you're leaving, promising to do this again soon, you just leave. Quietly. Coat grabbed, door closed, gone. And the whole drive home, one question circles your mind. Why do I always do this? Most people would call that rude. Some might say you're antisocial or that you don't care enough. But psychology tells a very different story. Research into sensory processing and social cognition suggests that the people who leave without saying goodbye aren't doing it out of disrespect. They're doing it out of necessity. You're not cold. You're not rude. You're managing something most people never even notice. Here's something most people don't realize about social energy. It's not infinite, and it doesn't drain at the same speed for everyone. Psychologists call this optimal arousal theory. Your brain has a sweet spot for stimulation, not too little, not too much. But that sweet spot is different for everyone. For some people, 3 hours of conversation, background noise, and group dynamics sits comfortably within their range. For others, that same environment pushes them past their threshold in 45 minutes. It's like two phones running the same apps, but one has a smaller battery. It's not broken, it's just built differently. And when your system hits that limit, your brain starts sending signals. Subtle ones at first. You stop tracking conversations as easily. Your responses get shorter. You smile, but it takes effort. That's not you being difficult. That's your nervous system telling you it's time. Research on sensory processing sensitivity, pioneered by psychologist Elaine Aron, shows that roughly 15 to 20% of people process stimuli more deeply than average. Every laugh, every side conversation, every shift in group energy, it all gets absorbed at a higher resolution. So when you feel drained at a party while everyone else seems fine, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because your brain is doing more work per moment than most people around you. Think about what saying goodbye at a party actually involves. You're not just waving at one person and walking out. You're locating people, interrupting their conversations, explaining that you're leaving, fielding the inevitable "already?" or "stay for one more," then performing warmth and gratitude while your internal battery is flashing red. Psychologists refer to this kind of mental juggling as cognitive load, the total amount of mental effort your working memory is handling at any given time. And here's the thing, when your social energy is already depleted, the goodbye ritual doesn't feel like a simple courtesy. It feels like an entirely separate event, a second party inside the party. Each goodbye requires you to re-engage, recalibrate your tone, manage the other person's reaction, and perform a version of yourself that you've already run out of energy to maintain. That's not a small ask when your system is running on empty. So when you skip the goodbye loop, you're not being careless. You're making a decision, probably unconsciously, to protect what little energy you have left. And that decision? It's actually a sophisticated act of self-regulation. Your brain recognizes that one more round of social engagement could push you past a point that takes much longer to recover from. You're not avoiding people. You're preserving your ability to show up for them again next time. There's a word psychologists use that might surprise you here: performance. Sociologist Irving Goffman described social interaction as a kind of theater. He called it impression management. The idea that in every social setting, you're unconsciously curating how you come across. You adjust your energy, your humor, your volume, your facial expressions, all to match what the room seems to need from you. Now, for some people, this performance is light, almost effortless. But for others, particularly those who are more self-aware or more sensitive to social dynamics, the performance is heavy. It's like wearing a mask that gets heavier with every hour. By the time you're 2 or 3 hours into a social event, the mask weighs more than you can carry. And the goodbye round? That's asking you to put the mask back on one more time, at full brightness, for every single person in the room. That's not a small ask. That's emotional labor at its peak. So when someone leaves a party quietly, what they're really doing is choosing honesty over performance. They're saying, with their actions, I don't have another performance left in me, and I'd rather leave genuinely than stay falsely. That's not weakness. That's a kind of integrity most people never even think about. And the people who understand that, who don't take it personally, those are the people worth keeping close. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because most people who leave quietly don't feel relieved right away. They feel guilty. The moment that door closes behind them, their brain starts running a highlight reel of everything that could go wrong. They'll think I don't care. They'll stop inviting me. Maybe I should have just said goodbye. That guilt isn't random. It's a reflex, shaped by years of social conditioning that says leaving without announcement is a violation. Social comparison theory suggests that we constantly measure our behavior against perceived norms, and when your behavior doesn't match what everyone else seems to do naturally, your brain flags it as a threat, not a physical threat, a social one, the fear of being excluded, of being labeled the person who doesn't care. But here's the thing worth sitting with. Guilt is not always evidence that you did something wrong. Sometimes guilt is just the echo of a rule you internalized that was never really yours. You were taught that goodbyes are mandatory, that leaving quietly is selfish. But who wrote that rule? And does it actually serve you? Or does it just serve everyone else's comfort? That guilt you feel? It's not proof of failure. It's proof that you care deeply about the people you're leaving, and that, in itself, says more than any goodbye ever could. Let me reframe something for you. Leaving a party without saying goodbye is not the absence of a boundary. It is the boundary. Psychologists who study self-determination theory talk about three basic human needs: competence, relatedness, and autonomy. That third one, autonomy, is the need to feel like your actions are your own. Like you're not just going through motions because the social script demands it. When you leave quietly, you're exercising autonomy in one of the most understated ways possible. You're saying, I get to decide when I'm done. Not loudly, not dramatically, just gently. Like closing a door without slamming it. And that's the part most people miss. They see the quiet exit and assume it's avoidance. But avoidance looks different. Avoidance is not showing up at all. Avoidance is canceling at the last minute. Avoidance is saying yes and dreading every second. What you're doing, showing up, engaging, and then leaving when your body tells you to, that's not avoidance. That's presence with a limit. And limits aren't something to apologize for. They're something to respect. The people who genuinely care about you won't need a performance-level goodbye to know you value them. They'll see it in the fact that you came at all. Here's something beautiful that nobody talks about. The people who truly understand you, the ones who get how you're wired, they already know. They notice when you slip out, and instead of being offended, they smile. Maybe they text you later, something simple. Glad you came tonight. No guilt, no interrogation, no, why didn't you say bye? Just acknowledgement. Psychologists who study secure attachment describe this kind of dynamic, a relationship where both people feel safe without constant reassurance, where presence doesn't need to be performed to be believed. These are the people who don't measure your love by your social rituals. They measure it by your consistency, your honesty, your willingness to show up even when it's hard for you. And if someone in your life can't handle a quiet exit, if they take it personally every time, if they make you feel like your need to leave is a betrayal, that's worth paying attention to. Not because they're bad people, but because it might mean their need for reassurance is bumping up against your need for autonomy. And both of those needs are valid. But only one of them should require you to override your own limits. So the next time you feel that pull toward the door, that quiet voice inside saying, I think I'm done, listen to it. You don't owe anyone a performance on your way out. You're not rude. You're not antisocial. You're someone who knows when they've given enough. And that's a kind of self-awareness most people spend their whole lives looking for. If this helped you see that differently, leave a like. If you want more videos about the psychology of people like us, subscribe.